Hello and welcome to the first item box of 2024, where we get to talk about Sonic and Sega news as well as other instances of our lives, because why the hell not? How are you, Nikki?
Uh, Doing okay. I mean, it's only 3 days into the new year, but I've one thing I managed to do. I managed to see The Boy and the Heron, the supposedly newest slash last slash maybe for a bit Miyazaki film. So I managed to do that.
He's been retired like 4 times now, hasn't he?
Yes, yes. To be fair, it's become a bit of a joke with that man at this point. It's basically every time he says, "Right, I'm done now," and everybody's just like, "Yeah, whatever, man. Whatever, man. You'll be back at it. You'll get an idea, and then you won't stop yourself from making something else." And he has tried. Like his last film was 10 years ago, and he was adamant. It's like, right, that's it. Not doing anymore. I'm finished. Done with. And then it kind of went like, maybe you should try that CGI thing a bit. There he did a little short called Brother the Caterpillar, and then afterwards you think, damn, I really want to do another movie again. So he just couldn't help himself.
Mm. Yeah. Well, my eldest is now 5 years old, so that's great. So, good birthday bash yesterday. I say birthday bash, more like just doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah, that's basically what birthday bash is. Just do what the hell you
Yeah,
want.
went to an indoor trampoline park. That was fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I realized instantly after maybe 10 jumps on a trampoline, I am seriously unfit. God damn.
The days of jumping up and down without a care in the world or stomach in you or food in your stomach.
Well, other than go celebrating my kid's birthday, as far as gaming goes, I have jumped back into in the Kingdom Hearts 3. Then I jumped back into Tears of the Kingdom, which is just I just spent the entire time shrine hunting and doing
Right.
all side quests rather than going to the final freaking boss.
Hmm. So
I
you
tried.
had
I
taken
tried. I tried once. I tried once, and I got my ass kicked by a gloom covered fucking Lionel. And yeah, fuck that. I probably
right.
won't ever try and finish that game.
All right.
Then I jumped back into Medieval, and good God, that game is pretty difficult, despite being almost 20 years, like over 20 years old.
Are we
Even
talking the
even
PS4 game?
PS4 remake, yeah,
Oh, the PS4 redo. Okay.
yeah, it's still jank as hell. It's fun,
It
but jank
is.
as hell.
Yeah, I was replaying that not too long ago, and like I said, I mean, I managed to finish it. I managed to get all the abilities, all the upgrades and stuff. But even then, it's still a bit of an arse at times. But it's,
It's just it's the combat. It's the worst part.
I mean, it's really
It's
just
mindless. It works. It's
yeah,
mindless,
it's
but it's just
yeah.
good God, just hit. Okay, just hit.
That's the thing. It just seems to be really inconsistent of like how far or how near you need to be for your literal either your sword, bow, and arrow to be whatever hitbox they've got to be near to do half the stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
And now I've jumped back into Pokemon Violet because I bought the DLC, so I'll be disappearing for the next 45 hours.
oh dear. I mean, for me, gaming wise, I mean, I'm finally managed to play Superstars. I got it for Christmas because I was determined to get Frontiers fully finished before then, so I managed to do that. I've said to you before, like I'm somewhat lucky because at that point I had wait until everything had been done and dusted, DLC wise and update wise, and also I surprisingly never saw what the full context of the ending was. I knew bits and pieces. The one thing I did see a lot was I guess the cybernetic corrupted Sonic, if we're calling it that.
Yeah, cyber corruption Sonic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was aware of that. I wasn't sure what was going on, what was going to happen itself. So I was still went in pretty blind and going, oh, okay, I see what people were saying both on oh, right, they clearly went full Dragon Ball Z with this. But
really, I think they went full Sonic X on that one.
I mean, isn't
exactly
it the same
thing?
Yes. It's weird actually. I was having a chat with a friend of mine who is always saying, why do they never do hypersonic anymore? And I think there was a thing for me and Flynn saying that they didn't do hypersonic because they didn't want to do the Dragon Ball thing. It's just like there's another level above Super Saiyan and all that stuff. So you just go on a power surge for all of fucking eternity. And it's kind of weird because this one they just decided, well, we'll just do a new variant of Sonic, Super Sonic again with this thing.
Yeah, it's like it called it Supersonic 2, but it's just powered up Supersonic.
Yeah, it's using the corrupted nature, and his eyes go blue, and he's a bit more powerful. That seems to be the gist of it.
He's basically Azure. Is it Akuma from Street Fighter?
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I got from that. It snaps his fingers all of a sudden.
Yeah, I know that's something. I noticed that every time when you do the side loop on the supreme, the end, I guess that's what we call it now, is seemingly that's like a timer to tell you how long the side loop stun lock can work on them.
Yeah, that I hate. I've already did a video on that of why I don't like the final Horizon, which I can't call it New Horizon because of the fucking song was called New Horizon.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, just go watch that video. I ranted so hard. There's a lot to like in that update, but there's a lot to not like in that update.
I said to you before, like it's definitely the case that they clearly put a lot of effort of doing this thing, and the other stuff was kind of somewhat afterthought in some places. I mean, I do like the fact that you got to play as Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, which is, finally you get to play as these guys after literally the days of 06, where it was basically the last time you got to play.
A lot of people say, no, I'm going to play them before another Sonic games. Name one Sonic game that's not a spin-off or party game.
A spin-off or one-off or just a silly, again, a full-fledged Sonic game where it isn't just you're playing the Blue Hedgehog in a main game. Yeah.
Sonic and the Black Knight, which you don't even have to play as the other characters in that game.
Yeah, it's like an extra.
And, it's like you want to play as personal account, but you can still play for the entire level of Sonic if you want to.
Yeah. But again, I like the fact that we got at least to try that. And I will say for what we got, the way Tails and Amy handled, for the most part, I was getting used to. Knuckles, of course, was the one that, okay, what do they do with his turning circle gliding? And then subsequently they fixed that.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, thank God for that. So again, it's one of those things we keep saying. There is good stuff in Frontiers. There's clearly a lot that needs to be fixed and refined and changed up for the next game. Because again, it's like there is fun stuff in it. It's just they need to really iron it out for the next one.
Yeah. I guess that was a bit bad news really because all the updates. But yeah, just watch my video on that. But also Superstars came out, which I am at the penultimate part of that game. How far have you gotten into the game?
I managed to get to. I'm just about to get to the fourth zone. I guess we're going.
Right, I finished the main story. I am getting into the at the end of the second part of the story, and apparently there is extra after that, which Twitter has delightfully spoiled for me.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't care if it's called X now. It'll still be Twitter. It's still called Twitter. The website is still twitter.com. If it's called x.com, no, you can't own x.com because Facebook and Microsoft fucking own that.
Yeah.
God, what a fucking pillock.
I mean, put it this way, man. You talk about people still calling it Twitter. Even Sonic still does that in the takeover thing they did recently. Even they've joked about that.
Every news site calls it X, formerly known as Twitter. X.
Yeah, so,
that is previously known as Twitter. It's like no one knows what X is, you dumbass.
Well, could be here forever. But anyway.
Yeah. But getting on to the news on this, first of all, we had a new game this year. Well, two new games, but one basically was announced saying Sonic Dream Team, only on Apple.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, we've been chatting about this whole big boy.
Just Jesus Christ. Just you're going to release a new game, but Apple was a hand in it, so therefore it's an exclusive. Congratulations, you already have a small amount of people of the fan base who's able to afford a freaking Apple product and able to play it.
It is. I have heard. Okay, so this is something. Another friend of mine actually knew about this, and he was able to buy one of those like Apple TV devices, like literally it's a box, and it's an older generation. So people have found ways of playing this cheaply. So
yeah, that shouldn't be the notion, though. That's like telling me. People have told me several times my most viewed short, and I'm going to call a lot of people out because they've all told me this, is you can just get the mod to make Sonic Adventure better on Steam. It's like modding a game to make it better does not make the game better.
I mean, it depends how much the modding has changed it. I mean, that's the thing with it.
No, it does. It changes a lot, but telling someone you have to manually change it yourself in order to make a better experience. That's equivalent to me saying, to be able to play this game, you have to buy an additional product, a cheap product that may be a few generations old and may not be actually,
useful.
Up to par to run it.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, just buy another product. Just buy a cheap product because, that way you're able to play it. Yeah, you pay a subscription or a free 30-day subscription to pay for it as well, which is also another freaking hurdle you have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, I remember trying out Apple Arcade because again, this is what it's exclusive to. I got that when I got my iPad back 3 years ago to play Beyond the Steel Sky, and I was able to play the whole game from beginning to end. But it was just for that game, just to try it out. And then once it finally came out on like PS4, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna tackle this instead.
Yeah, so I don't agree. Like, if you want to play this game, go ahead and buy another thing. Yeah, I understand. Like, also games consoles as well. You want to play this game, buy a new console.
I mean,
Like,
it's
if I want to play a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I need to get a PS5.
yeah. I mean, it's annoying that we did think for one moment that we were going into this like cross generation of gaming. You know, certain things you can play this game via, PlayStation, Microsoft, or Nintendo, and all that stuff. And,
Like Xbox still does that though. There are several Xbox Series X games I can play on the Xbox One, but
yeah,
only via cloud.
yeah. But like I said, this is the thing: is like for a while there was that whole thing, but every now and again we're still slapped with you can only play it on this system this way on this service stuff, which
And
is still
when it comes to mobile games, I think there should be less exclusive.
because again,
That sounds like very close-minded of me because I have an Android phone, and Android stuff is very. Apparently, there's a curation on iPhone compared to Android.
yeah, but to be fair, that's the problem, is and you get people going, I'm one side or the other. Like it was Sega and Nintendo, Microsoft or Sony, and like you say, Apple and Android. So it's like, oh god, we still got this stuff to deal with these days. Which again, it's like we should be cross-platforming this stuff now rather than like gatekeeping.
You know, besides Nintendo, because they still make their own consoles and games.
I know Nintendo will always play their own rules because they make up the rules and play their own way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Apparently, it's also a great game.
yeah, that's the thing. Everybody has been saying, oh my God, this actually is a great game, given the fact that we've had Frontiers and Superstars, which were like the big releases. And this is like the funny thing is, I remember ages ago when it was rumored that Hardlight, the company who's done the Sonic Dash games and stuff, said they were going to do a single player sort of mobile game, which I generally thought like, oh, that's interesting how they're going to do that. And then heard nothing for ages. And now this has finally come out. And what they've done is like, I'm impressed what I've seen. I haven't played it myself. What I've seen what they're able to do is like, I'm impressed with what they're able to pull off them lot.
Yeah, essentially, it just looks like Generations.
In a sense, I mean, the thing about one thing that surprised me the most is obviously like the level of animation, because again, that's something that's been a bit of a bugbear, particularly with Frontiers, like how there's some really good stuff, but then there's some iffy stuff. Again, I go between a lot of the cinematic cutscenes versus the sort of character talking stuff, which is it's night and day with that stuff. But with Dream Team, the thing I've noticed is that most of the game's narrative is done via like these sort of comic book panel things where it clearly is they did these poses in an engine and then they just did them through this system. But every now and again you get these little in-game animations and it's like, yeah, these are pretty impressive. And it just made me wonder at one point, were they going to do them all fully in engine, or at some point did they have to just cut corners and make it, okay, these can be played, but these other sections have to be stills basically. And also another thing I noticed, this is what really took me, is I have seen the full game's cutscenes. At the end, it's basically every character gets involved. But I noticed that throughout these little cutscenes, I've noticed like there are a few moments where they kind of almost like break some of the characters' models. Like I noticed there's a scene where Cream's looking up and she's kind of got no neck, like there's vividly no neck. And also there's a bit where Knuckles is talking and you can see they do that trick sometimes with the mouse where depending where the camera is, it will go on one side to the other. And I can actually see it swapping on the screen in one shot. And it just felt like, whoa, okay, these guys are they are kind of pushing, if not breaking, some of the whatever mandates Sega has for these characters, have it in the 3D. So that surprised me the most looking at this game.
Yeah. But not being able to play is really it's my bugbear right now. Whether or not it's good, it is a good or great game, or even a bad game. It's just.
I mean, from what I've seen of it, a lot of the games is basically the initial mode is get from point A to point B, obviously, and then there's like sort of add-on packs, which is get through the fastest time, collect these things. They basically built here is the main level, and then you can sort of explore in the main mode, but then there are like specific things you have to do in order to progress. So again, it looks interesting. I'm not sure. The way it plays, I would be interested to know if it actually feels any different from Frontiers, how they play and move in that game compared to this one. But I don't know. Like I said, it's like for a mobile game, it's impressive what they're able to do, but I don't know if it's like the best thing ever made yet. Because, like I said, I haven't tried it out.
Yeah. Moving on before I start writing again. Where is apparently Sonic Prime Season 1 is coming to Blu-ray. I don't know why you splitting the Blu-rays into separate seasons like what Netflix did, because the Season 3 comes out in exactly 9 days.
Yeah, more or less.
8 days. So I don't like it when they do that. I really don't.
No, and the thing is,
I still hate it. I still hate it. It's like you release the whole fucking thing. I'll do a day-by-day episode. And I still haven't seen all of Season 2 yet because I don't like. It's like the mid-season break of Doctor Who. I fucking hated it. I hate it when they do it now. You got 8 episodes. Yeah, I can do that in a weekend. Okay, and then wait 6 months.
Yeah. I remember asking actually somebody from Doctor Who on the VFX wise when they did those breaks. I did ask, does it mean it gives you more time to actually work on stuff on the VFX? And he said, no, we literally have the same deadline, so it doesn't really change anything. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah,
when you got like what 6 weeks, and you got a 6-month break and another 7 weeks.
Yeah, presumably. And again, when they first announced Prime, they said it was going to be, I can't remember how many episodes length it is, but it was going to be a set number of episodes, a full series of everything. So I never really see it as like, again, I don't like the seasonal thing because it's meant to be one long show, not just, 5 episodes.
Yeah, it's a serialized show. It continues on.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not a fan of that either. So,
even you can argue season 1, the first 3 episodes was one kind of arc, then they got 2 episodes in the boss cage, and then back to no man's land.
Yeah,
like that could be seen as individual kind of separate arcs in the first season, but it's one long thing.
I mean, for me, I kind of viewed the way I watched Prime for the most part is I kind of watched 2 episodes ago because for the most part, you can watch most of them as like 2-parters back to back. The first 3 sets everything up, and then onwards, it's like you can watch 2 episodes and you get the gist what's going on, and that's how I view them at least. So that's how I've been watching them. I mean, again, it's just like the fact they're putting on DVD, which on the one hand, I'm glad they're doing that. I mean, again, I think it's on the state side.
I saw a comment saying, "Why put this on Blu-ray when you can watch it on Netflix?" Oh, I don't know. Maybe because the internet cuts out and you freak out because you can't access Facebook for 2 hours. Maybe reason. Maybe that is a reason. Also, the fact that physical media is still way superior to streaming. Now, the fact that, on a side note, Amazon is introducing ads into their Prime subscriptions, and if you want to get rid of the ads, you have to pay an additional $3 Eat my crap, Jeff Bezos.
Oh god, I don't even know Netflix did a thing where there's like a free version, but they put ads in anyway to make you.
Even Hulu has it as well. There's an ad. I think they got rid of it now, but there was an ad version, but you have to pay to get rid of the ads. Like, fair enough. Here's the thing though, if the ads in the Amazon Prime is just at the beginning for like 2 ads for 1 minute, fine. If you start cutting it up like a fucking TV version of a film, we're quitting it.
Which is, again, the point wasn't that the point of doing streaming is you don't have the ad breaks in there, especially because I know in the States, sometimes they can go on they often put an ad break in between from when the show ends to the fucking credits. I mean, that's a weird thing to see.
It's like every 5 minutes, I swear to God. As opposed to the regular every 15 or don't do it until the fucking show is over. That's why we pay a TV license in the UK, people, because the BBC does not put advertisers in between shows.
Yeah, that's why it's called the British Broadcasting Corporation, because we fund the damn thing.
And the adverts, it's just the other shows. People threw a fit during Doctor Who Season 5 because Great Northern's advert was layered over an episode of Doctor Who.
It's funny. It was right at the climax and stuff. I actually have that on videotape. I've still got that lying around somewhere, that infamous bit. And it's interesting because a lot of people try to blame Graham Norton, which is like, that was the ident they had of him. But it's like, it wasn't his fault, initially. It was just the BBC. And then I think a week later, he joked on the show, like they had an ident again during his program and he got shot by a Dalek. As I said, okay, we're good. We're good.
What we're talking about? Oh, yeah, Prime on Blu-ray. I'm going to wait until the full collection comes out.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it
comes at the end of the year.
Okay. I'm just saying, I hope it comes to the UK because I'm still a little bit peeved that Sonic Boom never got the full set. I mean, Series 1 did get released on 4 volume sets, but they never bothered with Series 2, which still pisses me off.
Yeah, I've got Season 1 of Boom as well, which I got and immediately after it's like, here's the full collection with Adam Bryce Thomas cover art. Jesus fucking Christ, every time.
I know, it's always It's always when you just think you're done. I mean, for me, I mean, I'm glad that the show is coming in less in the physical media, because that was one thing that was annoying me, given that the thing with streaming is they can take these things away anytime soon. I mean, I don't think Prime will be, because it's meant for Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
But
Netflix, made for Netflix shows or made for anything shows will stay on there for a long time.
I know, but
unless you Warner Bros. Apparently.
Yeah, Warner Brothers. Oh God, we'll probably go into that. Actually, that's something we could probably go on a bit.
The director Zal begins with a Z. I don't give a fucking give. His name is
basically, this is the man responsible.
You can eat my crap too.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way: this is the man who was responsible for bringing to Here Comes Honey Boo Boo to the world. That's his claim to fame, basically. Yeah, that's the savior of Warner Brothers. But we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I'm glad that Prime is getting at least a physical release, because again, I want to at least have that in some form to watch. Whenever the hell I want. That doesn't require the internet buggering up on me.
Oh, you go visit your relatives and you bring your laptop with you, and they don't have any streaming because the internet's shit.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, glad that it's doing. Hope it comes to the UK when they do the full set.
Yeah. Moving on to the Warner Bros. Fiasco, because last year Warner Bros. would not leave their headlines for a lot of media outlets. Because, so during last year, for those who've been living under a rock, HBO Max and Discovery merged, and then it just became Max.
Yeah.
With that, all the shows got brought over, because I think Discovery Plus is still a thing. I'm not too sure. I think it's still a standalone, but it may just merge.
Well, this is why the Zaslav thing comes in, because he's technically behind Discovery Channel and stuff. So they're trying to do this whole Discovery Warner merger. That's the whole thing. Basically, Warner Brothers is shitting themselves because we spent a decade making a bunch of shitty DC movies, so that didn't help. And we also tried to do a streaming service for a phone company. That didn't help either. So they've been desperately trying to.
And not to mention DC Universe was a thing, and that fucking failed. So HBO Max and South become Max because all the Discovery content added, which is great. I can watch Restaurant Impossible whenever the hell I want now, and instead of actually paying for another subscription service on top of that, it's like there's too many already. We got Netflix, we got Prime, which even then Prime still fucking sucks. Here's the thing though. It has a bunch of free stuff for you to watch if you have a Prime subscription. Great. It's just there's a lot of stuff on there you want to watch, being 20 to 30 years old, that they still want you to pay for.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it was on a holiday special or Christmas special discount. I could not watch Jim Carrey's The Grinch without paying to rent it.
Oh boy.
Luckily, it was only 50 cents to actually rent it. So that's cheap. Yeah. That's down from $3.99.
Yeah.
So that's good. I can actually watch it, and thankfully, Jacob's not scared of The Grinch anymore. He was for a year.
To be fair, that movie is kind of ugly in many places. Like even a lot of the Who people, I even go like, "Oh God."
Apparently, there's a horror version of The Grinch called.
Yeah, I think someone edited it together to make it look like a horror film or something.
Yeah. But yeah, that came out 20 years ago. I had to rent it. Like new release is fine, but like all the other films, like no, you shouldn't do that. I'm paying for something that you're not giving me the actual access to. You can get Amazon Music. I don't give a shit. No one gives a shit.
This is the problem, isn't it? Even old stuff is like there's still copyright on it. So depending on who gets the rights to show it. It's like when they did it on TV, it's like oftentimes BBC will show these set of movies every year for Christmas, and then maybe 5 years down the line, it's like, oh, now ITV is showing it or Channel 4 is showing it this year. It's just that system of how it works.
Yeah. But because going back to the Warner Discovery bullshit, Zalas, fucking Dave,
basically, the guy everyone seems to get sacked. That's the main thing. People don't like this guy.
He decides, you know what? We're canceling and removing a bunch of our own shit. We're getting rid of a bunch of things, including, and apparently, I can't remember what the fuck it's called. It was an animated show that people really loved, and because they took it off online and no one could have it, they also took it off Prime. So people who paid for it.
Yeah, it was Infinity Train. Yeah, this was
that's the one, Infinity Train. Yeah.
Infinity Trade. This was Cartoon Network show, and it's kind of become a bit like a sort of a anthology series. But yeah, that was taken off, and there was a while back a lot of Cartoon Network shows were getting purged off the web. You couldn't get them either from Max, you couldn't get them on iTunes. Like literally, they were like deleting it from the web, and people were like, "What the fuck's going on here?"
Yeah,
but eventually
people paid for it. People paid full price to watch and own it. But apparently, there is some legal loophole that tells you that digital owned content is not yours to own.
I know that's the thing. You have the right. You pay the right to watch it online. You don't own it. That's the difference.
Yeah, despite paying exactly the same amount of money it would have cost you by physical. Again, another reason for physical.
Yeah. But like I said, they've been doing this whole thing. There's been all this purging and things taken on and off. I mean, the fact apparently they're taking Looney Tunes stuff off there, which is like, isn't that the thing you build your empire on, guys? You're literally taking off your mascots off your own damn streaming service, which is surreal.
Yeah, and not to mention making movies and shelving them for tax write-offs because despite trying to merge, you also inherited a fuckload of debt.
Yeah, and here's the thing. They've not done this once, not twice, but now 3 times. The big kicker being Cloudy versus Acme, which was a movie that was finished, it was done. They did testings apparently, and people liked it. And they basically said, "Oh, that's good. We're just going to put it on the shelves and write it off for money." And this is the bit where it's like, "No, you can't keep doing this, guys. You are going to get in such legal shit."
Yeah, it now is posting the legal shit. It's now apparently there was also reported that Warner Bros.
60%. There's a 60% chance that the Warner Brothers, as we know it, will go bankrupt. And to put this way, both Warner Brothers and Disney are 100 years old. They've been celebrating their 100-year anniversary. And then WB's, during their time, WB is literally on their last legs. It's like, wow, what a way to celebrate, guys.
Let's celebrate by burning money, shall we?
Yeah.
That's literally what you fucking did, okay? That's literally, I don't care if the film, it took $30 million to make this movie, and you're writing it off. You could have made that back. You could have easily made that back.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like what happened with, they did this with the Batgirl movie, and even there was going to be a Scoob movie. It was going to be a follow-up to that animated one a few years ago. They were finished, apparently. They were finished and ready to come out, and they just couldn't be bothered to put them out, which is weird, given that this is the same company who did a massive re-edit of one movie. People didn't like it, and then spent more time and money trying to put this movie together because people thought it was going to be the greatest thing ever made. And when it finally put it on Max, it turned to be one of the lowest rating things on the channel. So, all that Zack Snyder Justice League business really was, you spend a lot of time and money on one thing that was never going to work. Look what it got you.
Like, I haven't seen Zack Snyder's Justice League. Apparently, I have to call it that now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're officially known as. I mean, actually, this is a weird thing. You can actually get that on DVD, weirdly enough. That is something you can get on the physical media, though. It's one of those things that, given the fact the whole sort of weird cult behind that thing, that, oh my God, there's this super duper great movie that's so great that one of us didn't want to show it. And it finally came out, and it's just, it's another film. You can take it or leave it. It's not really a big deal for a lot of people. That's what really got me in the end, is like thinking they really hyped it up to be literally the second coming. Literally, this movie's so good, it's going to cure one set of cancer. It's like,
this will be the next next Empire Strikes Back kind of thing.
Oh God, it fucking wished it was. I mean, hell, there's another Zack Snyder's made a new film called Rebel Moon, which apparently was meant to be. He pitched it as a Star Wars movie, and it's like,
it was going to be Star Wars, and he made it his own. And apparently,
can you imagine? Here's the thing. Can you imagine if Lucasfilm and Disney went around with that? Because they think to themselves, we've already got enough shit with our own Star Wars movie. The last thing we need is you coming in, making your own Star Wars movie, and bringing all those crazy people in. Which, by the way, he doesn't like that, that crowd of people who are really adamant about Zack Snyder's work. Or, he doesn't like that crowd. But unfortunately, it's just followed him with his work now. So it's just one of those like, oh boy, we have to deal with this shit now.
Yeah, which is a shame, because I kind of like 300.
Yeah.
And apparently someone also noted that apparently it's kind of almost retreading the same plot as A Bug's Life. I love A Bug's Life. It's one of my favorites.
300's retreading it, you mean?
No, Rebel Moon.
Oh, Rebel Moon. Okay, well, there's a thing. Here's this big, weird, crazy sci-fi movie. It's like, didn't Pixar make this like a decade or two ago? So.
It's all my favorite Pixar movies as well. It's like when you have a Star Wars reject trying to copy the story of A Bug's Life, don't.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't want to get a lot of Zack Snyder hate on us, but here's the thing. I'll say this. I don't hate Zack Snyder as a filmmaker. I don't think he is by any means an untalented person. Like the stuff he's able to do, no one else could do that. It's hard work. I don't think he's a bad filmmaker. I just don't think he's a very good storyteller.
No, yeah, like I was going to say that as well. It's like he can make a movie look good. All right.
Yeah, he's visual.
Like,
I mean, he's like, very good visual. Like, he's so.
Like, you got Michael Bay, and then you got Zack Snyder. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're both in a similar crowd. As in, they can make stuff look good, and it's hard work to make the stuff they do. But it's like there's a lot of things you could say from a narrative point. They don't work a lot, but
no.
Again, Zack Snyder's very much like aesthetically, he can make things very good and detailed, and there's maybe fascinating bits about it. But as a story in its own, it's like it's not that terribly interesting to watch or really go into at times.
Yeah, it's like when a Doom fanfic comic can make a better story than Zack can make. No.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel. I'll say this about Zack Snyder is that when the whole
we should actually drop from Zack Snyder and go back into the Warner Bros. Thing.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it's like the fact that he was able. Apparently, when he did do his version, I mean, he did it for free, like more or less. Warner Brothers basically, because again, long story short, he was going to do Justice League. Then tragedy happened in his family. He left it, so they re-edited it to make a different film. Then the online cultists came in, and then eventually, out of interest and Warner Brothers' desperation, asking, "Could you do something for us?" So he did it for free, and yeah, at least they gave him a chance to do that. But since then, it's been really they've been dragging their heels on the ground now. I mean, at this point, they might as well rename themselves to "Why Bother to We're Buggered."
Yeah, the thing is about any merger really is like one merger doesn't end in tragedy.
I don't know. I mean, I still remember when Disney bought Marvel. I remember people were really like, "Oh my god, what are they going to do to this thing?" Because people were really because this was just as the Avengers was coming out.
That's not really a merger. That's a purchase of a company.
I know, but
they purchased Marvel. They purchased LucasArts. They purchased those companies
again,
as opposed to merging a company together.
Yeah, but it's still very much that. But it's still very much, with now people in control of these things. It's like, well, what are they going to do? How are they going to change things? And for a while, at least with Disney, it was like we sort of let them do their own thing for ages, and there's arguments about how much control they have. Whereas this thing is just, compared to one of us, it's just been a mess from pretty much day one to now, really. So the fact that
every merger I've seen and heard about, it always ends in shows getting cancelled, a bunch of higher ups deciding to cut out like 1,000 employees because apparently it'll make more money for the shareholders to not pay employees.
Yeah, I mean, it's, the equivalent of this is like it's basically one of us has been acting like a sinking ship. They're just constantly chucking stuff out just to keep the boat afloat. It doesn't matter how valuable it is; they'll just check it out just to keep the damn thing subsided without falling into the water. I think for me, the worst thing that happened with this, which is part of this whole thing, was Cartoon Network Studios, the building, not the actual studio itself, the building where they were working out for 23 years got shut down last year. So, and again, that was part of like the merger thing. So now Cartoon Network is going to be part of like Warner Bros. Animation internally. And even then, I just felt very sad, partly because I wish I could go there because I thought, hey, this is the home of like Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack, and Steven Universe and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just the fact that this is a place where this is where a lot of creativity came in. It brought a lot of shows people know and love. And it's like, yeah, it's just now an empty building. The people who work there, I mean, thankfully, they're still employed, which is a good thing. But yeah, that was just a real kick in the balls, wasn't it?